Hi Scorpio, it's Jenny here with your April Tarot Horoscope. That one just came out right away. Let's do that. So that was easy. So we've got your April Tarot Horoscope coming up. The first 2/3 of the month is Aries season, and then we roll over into Taurus. And this is the card that wanted to pop up. So we have the Nine of Cups ready to go. Nine of Cups reversed. So this is what she looks like the right way up. So we have this woman here. She's sitting. She has this sort of scroll in front of her. There's this large chalice above, and then outlined above we have these figures of this old woman and this old man, kind of in profile. All these cups around, and it came out upside down, just like that. Okay, so we're going to see what the Nine of Cups has for you today. Okay, Nine of Cups, emotional merry-go-round. What moves you emotionally? Nine cups represent strong feelings and manifold passions. The cylinder-like vase floating above the head of the central figure symbolizes substantial spiritual capacity as well as your desire to control all emotions. It might also indicate the attitude you adopt when something doesn't work out exactly as planned, when everything has gone down the drain. Are you playing a game of all or nothing? The two faces representing grandfather and grandmother show the influence of two strong superegos. Foreign or your own higher demands keep you from living your own life, despite the fact that you have very definite ideas regarding your own happiness. Have the courage to make a difference. Don't let embarrassments hold you back, nor be unduly fascinated by things strange and exotic. Define your long-term goals. Explore your life dreams. This is the meaning of the picture, tablet, mirror, or book in the right hand of the central figure. The challenge is to reshape your own life. Learn from your own experiences and define your own standards. Find out what kind of support you can muster and try to distinguish between needs that can be ignored and those you should take into consideration. This way you will protect your great emotional store. Practical advice. Learn to go with the flow and to swim against the current if necessary. Write yourself a letter of intent stating your goals for the next 9 weeks. Write down 9 important desires or fears. Establish specific goals for your personal growth and well-being. Okay, so this is kind of a nice one to have for April. Like I said, the beginning of April is Aries season, and Aries season is it's the first sign of the zodiac. So when we start Aries season, we're starting an energetic new year. So we've had our whole story of last year ending with Pisces season, and Aries is this fresh new start, this fresh new kind of baby energy of a new kind of cycle. And so this card for Aries season is kind of just like, what are you gonna do with this cycle? This whole challenge of reshaping your own life. It's bringing you back into the center of your power, and like with these two figures that are kind of overhead, just talking about these super egos or these other influences. They're external to this internal figure, and they're either having these sort of stern things or they've got their own narratives. This sort of like these whatever figures are or influences in your life, be it family, culture, past sort of stories, your own inner monologue, kind of telling you what you're supposed to do. Aries season's coming along and sort of handing the spark back to you and saying, you kind of get to make this choice. This is your life. Everybody else is living their own lives and playing out their own stories. And it may be part of their story that they're trying to bring you into their narrative or trying to, get you to do certain things in your life to support them. But ultimately, it's your call. What you get to do, how you get to spend your life is your decision. And it's obviously fine to have influence. We're all going to be influenced no matter what. So it's fine to take counsel, and it's certainly okay to have influences in your life, but you are the one who should be in the driver's seat. And so if you're in this contrasting thing where you have this feeling of what it is that you want, and it's in contrast with these other figures, either they're trying to push it down or push it out, then there's this invitation to you might want to banish them for a little bit, as long as you, within reason, obviously. These are things, do you trust these individuals? Is this actual guidance, or is this somebody trying to hold you to task in a way that you've invited and you have a relationship of trust with them, versus something that's trying to just kind of top down tell you and what you ought to do, while overruling your own intuition and your own sense. So because Aries season is significantly more about the self and coming back into the ego, it's kind of the suggestion with this card and this energy is like, check with yourself first. You get to be the say here. And even if you make a mistake, your mistakes are part of your story as well. It's better that you actually take a stand for something and connect it to your own self. And if it doesn't work out, well, at least you made a mistake in your own life story instead of following what somebody else told you to do. And if that's not right, you haven't really learned anything. You've learned that their advice is wrong, but you haven't learned what you would do yet. So there's this kind of invitation of courage to take a step into your kind of your own power here. But there's also this other sort of possibility that there's this attempt of yourself also to try to be in control specifically of your emotions. So Cups is the water sign and is the sign of emotions. So there's this possibility of trying to like be too in control of your emotions. Control, control is an interesting word because it can have the connotation of like absolute power, like I'm in control, like whatever I do, however I turn the wheel, the vehicle goes, or the sense of like mastery is maybe a different word, where you have the ability to maintain yourself and maintain control of your own self, without necessarily trying to wrestle control of everything around you. So emotions are such an interesting experience that we all have because they are both like in us and a part of us, and yet they also feel like they can like come out of nowhere and be this force that controls us. So depending on your relationship to your emotions, depending on how comfortable you are with the forces of your emotions and how that can kind of knock you around and it can feel like you're being controlled by them, like the sort of image is, which is great with emotions being a water element, is, you know, if you're in an ocean, and how good are you at swimming? Like, what's your mastery of swimming? Do you feel like you're drowning every single time a current takes you somewhere or a wave kicks up and you're in this desperate thing of, I just want flat seas all the time because whenever something comes up, I just feel like I'm going to drown. Obviously, that's this like not feeling comfortable or safe in your emotions and feeling like they're going to overwhelm you. But then the flip side can be this like, I'm just going to build a giant wall. I'm going to build a dike and I'm going to make sure that the ocean is, I'm not even touched by it. I'm going to control all emotions by not letting them happen. And that's this feeling of false mastery. You feel safe because you're not drowning, but you're always afraid that there's cracks in the dike that eventually it's going to burst through. And you're not actually, you haven't gotten any skills. You haven't built any skills of swimming. You're not actually have any more mastery. You've just blocked it off behind a wall. So that's that controlling emotions, so that they don't even happen. Ideally, what you have is you just learn how to swim. And some days are rougher than others, but as you weather the storms, you grow in your skill and you stop fearing these emotional kind of currents and waves, and you start to learn that like they can take me places. Like if you're in the current, it can take you all kinds of wonderful places. You can have this experience. I'm gonna run this metaphor into the ground, so I'm going to pull out of the ocean here. But yeah, this invitation to try to pay attention to, are you like, what are you trying to control things, or are you trying to get mastery of them? 9 of Cups, because it's a 9, the minor arcana numbers from ace to 10. So 10 is this feeling of like completion and totality. 9 is pretty close to there. So it can go either way with this. This can either say we have almost like we've got so much emotion, so many cups, it can feel like there's just too much. Like, are we overflowing with emotion in a scary way? Or is this a sign of mastery, that there's so many emotions because you have gained the ability to navigate them and befriend them and use them and integrate them? And so this 9 of Cups, this almost the full amount, is really showing your skill set, and that you have this ability to engage in like the deep end of the pool. Could go either way. Do you feel overwhelmed by how many cups and emotions there are, or are you like, yeah, this is my rich emotional life. I used to not be able to play in these deep ends, but now I can. So it does require courage all the time to manage this much of anything. So we're kind of marrying these two ideas of what is your emotion, your relationship to your emotions. Are you going for mastery, or are you going for control? And then this other element of what are the other forces and influences around you trying to tell you about what they want you to do, and is that in alignment with what you truly desire? So these kind of feel a little bit disconnected, but there's like your emotions are going to be a part of you coming to terms with what it is that you truly want, and dictating whether you're listening to these other egos or not. So there's kind of, yeah, this sort of binary experience with this card here. I'm going to pull out of the card for a minute, and just step into the astrology again. So Aries season, we already talked a little bit about how Aries is this, or did we talk about it? I don't remember if this was in the previous workshop. So on that note, there is the Aries season workshop. There's a pay what you can workshop that's all about the season of Aries, and talks about a little bit more about the planetary transits. And there's a lot more in-depth information on Aries season itself. Go take that workshop. It's pay what you can. So it's a great opportunity, and it's going to help just bring a little bit more of the current transits and energy in that you can then add to this particular reading. So having said that, I'll repeat myself if I already said it or not. So Aries season is all about the self. It's this spark of life. It's this sense of ego, and it's healthy ego. Ideally, we all need to come from a place of, since we've incarnated as individual beings, we have an ego for a reason. And some of us really downplay it and try to kind of subordinate ourselves to everyone around us. So this might be subordinating the self here and just trying to listen to these other figures and like lessening the ego. And other times there can be too much of this sort of narcissistic or like too self-absorbed Aries quality, which is just like excessive ego and not recognizing the egos and selves of other people. Neither of those we want. Both of those energies can be present. So with this Aries season, there's this opportunity to try to get that healthy actualization of listening to yourself, listening to your intuition, having some faith in the fact that you are an individual and you have a right to be here, without either caving too much to these other forces or tossing them completely aside and thinking that you can go at it all by yourself. So this beginning of April, we want to kind of bring in that concept of ego and in a balanced way. And then when we go towards the end of the month, we're rolling into Taurus season. Taurus season is going to feel much more grounded. So Taurus is an earth sign, so it's grounding anyway. But if we're dealing with this like emotional merry-go-round of all of these cups and trying to deal with these other kind of influences, and we're trying to identify our sense of self, Taurus is just going to be like, okay, slow that down. Like, we don't need to panic. Yes, there's been a lot of waves and oceans. Things have been pretty intense, but let's just think about things practically here, and let's just ground into what we know is real. Taurus energy is going to help us not get too trapped up in story. It's very much about what's practical. It's going to be, if you are still feeling that emotional merry-go-round, this is a great time to tap into your body. We, of course, experience our emotions in this kind of conjoined state of feeling it in our mind, but also feeling it in our body. We get butterflies in our stomach, we get angry and tense, we get sad, and like heavy and depressed, and feel that in the body. So our emotions are kind of felt through the whole system. Taurus time is going to be a great time to, instead of trying to control the emotions mentally, it's trying to work with them physically. So it's kind of like the learning how to swim can be best done in the body when trying to learn with your emotions. So if that's, you're feeling like anger, there's a lot of like intense aggression coming up, then moving it through exercise or fitness or anger practices or screaming at a pillow or just doing a bunch of cardio, like that's going to help utilize the body system of adrenaline and utilize what anger wants you to do through a productive way in the body. Or there's other emotions as well, whether that's, letting a good cry, or whether that's, well, there's a lot of feelings of discomfort. Maybe I want to give my body some pleasure. I want to feel good in the body and help the body, as it feels good, have that feedback up into my emotional state, and then my emotions can feel good again. So whatever it is that your body likes to do, whether that's, relaxation, kind of pampering, whether that's yes, experiencing the senses, listening to music, whether exercise is one of them, just getting the body involved in processing and just like pampering your emotional state, so that you don't feel like your body is betraying you. That can happen a lot with intense emotions, is you can just feel like an alien in your own self. And Taurus season loves to feel good and really just loves to be in the body. And so it's really inviting this like luxuriant energy, and just, yeah, like a time to really just pay attention and ground into the body in a pleasurable way. Just to remind yourself that, like, no, I'm not drowning. Like, my emotions are a part of me, but I'm allowed to feel good. And eventually I'm going to get better at this if I learn to not try to like throw pieces of me aside or control them, but try to just let them all play together. So that's what I was going to. I don't want to say anything else on that. I guess the only kind of else I was going to mention, just Scorpio, since you are a water sign anyway, and intense emotions is often a hallmark of Scorpio. Some of you, this is just going to be like, great, old hat, I've been dealing with my intense emotions my whole life. For others, this is going to be actually like not just a practice for this month, but a really great thing to be bringing into the whole year and your life in general. Is how do you deal with those intense Scorpio feels, whether they're your own or other people's as well? How do you how do you get comfortable and get mastery in your emotional realm? Because perhaps your ocean of feelings is bigger than other people's, or is a bit more tumultuous than other people's. And that can also feel like, if you're around a lot of people that don't have the same emotional depth as you, that can feel like you're doing it wrong. And that may even be some of these kind of influences around you, is any judgments that people may have on your particular brand of your emotional environment, when it really is natural for you, even if it's not natural for other people. So try to have some grace as well with whatever might be coming up. And yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, feel free to take that Aries workshop. It's on my YouTube channel if I didn't mention that before. And otherwise, looks like you've got some big feels coming up this month. But by the end, you're going to be doing just swimmingly. So much love to you, Scorpio. Best of luck.